And we already have 4 likes. We're live, Dad.
4 likes and we're live?
Yes.
4 likes and we're live?
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Gamer and the Dad podcast. We are back. What is up, guys? It's time. Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
It is the Gamer, the Dad, Gamer, Dad, Gamer,
Gamer,
Dad,
Dad,
Gamer,
Gamer,
Dad, Gamer,
Dad,
Dad, Gamer, Dad, Gamer, Dad. Yeah, baby.
You see, we're all
What
in the
is
mood.
up? The Gamer and Dad podcast is back. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We are back, 2021. It feels so good to be back finally with our normal podcast here.
Yes.
It is a new year. Do you feel it? Do you feel the new year? I feel
sorta.
it, dude. I feel it.
You know what it is?
Actually,
the new year.
I grew a little bit.
We're finally back with a podcast
I-
stream this time.
I grew a little bit. And by that, I mean, I think I got fatter. But I grew. I feel like I expanded in this new year already. What is up, YouTube family? We are back. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, I don't know why, but subscribe, like,
Yes.
bell for notifications, bell for
Yes.
notifications, subscribe, subscribe, bell for notifications, everything. Let's do it. Thank you so much for everybody that's on already and supporting as always. Guys, we love you guys. Thank
pull
you
up
so
the
much.
chat.
Oh, we got to pull up the chat. Of course.
Dad.
Let's rock and roll here. Who do we have here? Blue Feather.
Oh, it's
Cool name.
Yeah.
Blue Feather.
Blue feathers.
Blue Feather 917. Hello, Blue Feather. Where are you chatting from? Let us know. Guys, we always say it. Let us know what part of the city, state, country, world, wherever you're from. It's awesome to know where you guys are tuning in from. And again, thank you for tuning in to the Gamer and Dad podcast. We love your guys' support. The numbers are growing right before our eyes, dude.
Yes.
And it's awesome. Last I checked, we were at like 4,300 subs, I think.
I think so.
We want to make it a 5 before the end of the year. I know we always say that, but it's true. It's cool to have a goal of subs, for a certain time. So we're shooting for 5,000 subs by the end of 2021. Hopefully we could get there sooner with your guys' love and support, obviously. But anyways, moving forward, guys, we have so much going on. We have so much planned for this year. You probably heard a little bit on that little video we shot out this past weekend or week. But there is a ton.
playing GTA.
There is a ton planned for this year for Little Game Boy 5, the Gamer and the Dad podcast, for Cam himself, for me, everything. Guys, make sure you stay tuned in. Keep your eyes and ears open for this channel because there is going to be so much going on, and there is possibly a spin-off coming.
Oh, is there?
That was weak.
What?
Oh, is there?
Well, it's sounding suspicious because I don't know it either.
Anyways, guys, there is so much going on. Please tune in, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell everybody about it. Put it on your social media. All right. Tell everybody to subscribe. So much going on. The store is coming. The store is coming. That sounds kind of like, it's kind of weird, huh? The store is coming to the channel. You guys are going to be able to buy sweaters, hats, mugs, masks, t-shirts. It's going to be awesome. We are literally in the process of designing some of the products that we're going to put on there. We want to make sure it's ready and good to go. So when we launch it, and
we have to test it. So what we're gonna do is
we're still working on that.
Yeah.
But we really highly recommend you guys hit that store up as soon as it comes out. It's work in progress, but we're hoping to have it hopefully up and running in the next 2 weeks. So that's the goal we're shooting for. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Cam Bam, the man,
Yes,
the
sir.
man right here. What is up, dude?
You say wee man?
I said the man.
Oh, I thought you said wee man.
No,
from,
the man. What is up? Oh, so Blue Feather's from Texas. Oh,
We used to have
Hart,
Ryan.
Texas.
We used to have Ryan from Texas. Where's
Oh,
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan used to be Ryan from Texas. Now it's Blue Feather. Blue Feather sounds a little bit bad for Texas.
I know, right?
That was all I knew about Texas right there. That was my only That was my only.
Sounding like a hillbilly.
Yeah. Sorry. I know it's horrible, but Blue Feather, what is up? Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for the love and support. Cam Bam.
Yes, sir.
What is happening, dude? Where you been?
Where have you been?
I know you were here last week, but still, where you been?
I've been gone. But more like, where's the podcast been, man? We haven't done one in a while.
Dude, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good year. So much going on. I don't know if you guys notice, and let us know in the chat if we're a little bit too bright. We got these new lights. They're awesome. We're testing them out. Obviously, we're not light technicians.
Yes.
I don't know if you are.
Sort of.
Shush. I didn't go to lighting school, but
is there even a class?
Yeah, there's classes for that. Anyways, let us know if they look a little weird. We are trying these out. They're new LED lights. That
oh, Ryan from Texas is here.
Ryan from Texas. What
hey,
is
have
up,
not
dude?
checked y'all out in a while. Hope you in a while.
Yeah,
Happy y'all
seriously,
still
man.
doing this.
Ryan, what's up? I think your ears were itching, brother, because
We're back.
we just had somebody else from Texas pop up, and then all of a sudden we talked about you, and you pop up. But thank you, man. You've always been here. Thank you for the support. We appreciate
Daniela,
it. Texas,
how are
shout out
you?
to Texas.
We are good.
What is up, big horns?
All right, so let's not take any more of our
Yeah.
time. Let's start getting
Yeah,
into
who the hell are we, right?
Let's start getting into the topics. That's the whole point of the podcast. So today we're going to be reacting to some GTA facts and things. So we all know and love Grand Theft Auto as a series, as a video game series that's been going on for decades now. But there's not too much we know about it because we're just people, right? Like we just get the product, we consume it, that's it, right? Well, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes or what we see in games and we don't really notice it, you
Right,
know?
right.
Like there's so many details in the game that you're just like, oh, I never knew that. It's like, well, yeah.
Very true. Very true.
So how about we get into it? So the first video we're gonna watch is 30 insane details in old GTA games. So the ones
30
that
insane details.
little details it says in old
Okay.
GTA games. So the GTA games that were like in the early 2000s, even the GTA games that were on the Game Boys. You remember those things back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were crazy times. But without further ado,
Further ado.
let's get into it, shall
Without
we?
a further or now ado? Ado? We do. Further ado. Daniela, what is up? How are you? Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful Monday.
It snowed 2 inches at my house yesterday, which was crazy. It's not snowed that much
Ooh.
since 2012, so that's cool. Wow, Ryan, got some snow over there?
Well, Ryan, thank you for letting us know. We're from California, so, we're not really used to snow. But stay warm, buddy. I hope everything's good out there.
All right, let's get into it, shall we? Now, we will pause and stuff to discuss a little bit things. If Dad wants to discuss something that he
Always need to discuss.
always here, that's the point of our podcast, guys.
That's right.
The Grand Theft Auto series has always been littered with tons of cool, interesting little details you maybe wouldn't expect or even need in a game, but we really appreciate them. Really, we've talked about Grand Theft Auto 5 enough here, so today we're gonna go back to the older GTA games and count down a bunch of cool little details from them. We captured all this footage, but if you want any
Disclaimer.
more information on these things, sources are all linked in the description down below. Anyway, let's get started off. We got 30 of them. Now, starting off at number 30, first we're gonna focus on San Andreas. You may not have noticed, especially if you were playing back in the day on an older TV, but gang members in the game will make gang signs with their hands. Yes, that's right, all the gangs, Grove Street, the Ballers, Vagos, they all have specific gang signs, and their hands can make those gang signs, which is pretty revolutionary if you think about it. It's a very small detail, especially considering that
small
the
detail.
characters'
I would've
hands in the
never
old
knew.
GTA games are basically like blocks. It's still pretty sweet. Now, next over at number 29, you may not have noticed, but Denise, CJ's first girlfriend, will actually leave messages on Radio Los Santos in case you're listening. She would do a shout out call into the radio station DJ and kind of beg to take CJ back,
hidden
beg for another
messages, huh?
chance. And it's super subtle, but it's always really hilarious because it kind of annoys the
Meet me
DJ.
later at
Next over
7.
at number 28, kind of like how dialogue works in San Andreas, 2-in-1. CJ can reply to random people's comments,
Lord, what is
and
he
you can change your
wearing?
body type, and that all kind of affects it. People kind of forget that dialogue response was a thing in these games, whether it was just random on the street gang members or people making fun of CJ if he ate too much food and got fat, even down to even smaller details like some police officers even addressing CJ by name. The cool thing too is that depending on your specific body type, people's comments and CJ's replies will actually change accordingly. Next, over at number 27, I don't remember if anyone actually did this, but if you overeat right at a fast food place, you can vomit right on the counter.
That's
Super
me.
realistic. Overeat and then throw up and puke. I've seen this happen a lot in real life in actual fast food places. Don't ask me.
Oh.
I've just spent a lot of time in them.
That's
Next, over at
crazy.
number 26, when it's hot, you can see a
Ugh.
really cool heat wave effect. This was pretty advanced for the time, and although subtle, really kind
Oh,
of made
the
a difference
heat
in
wave, like
terms
when
of
you're
building
looking
some
farther
atmosphere
away.
and really giving you
You
a
know,
sense
that
of
little,
real
like-
place.
Oh, yeah.
Next, at
little
number
squid on the
25, when you
screen,
get your
huh?
hands on the
Yeah.
thermal goggles in the game and maybe you shoot some people, you can actually see the heat slowly leaving a dead body. A very, very slight, small detail in a game that doesn't really
okay,
improve it.
that's-
Answer me this, Rockstar. How do you guys have the time to do this in a PS2 game, for God's sakes?
Well, see that okay, so that
We just went over a couple details there.
yeah, but that shows the commitment and the professionalism of Rockstar when they're creating these games. You know, and to a lot of people, including me, you know, a lot of this stuff might mean nothing or like
It goes over your head sometimes.
way over, like
Yeah.
completely over. Don't even see it. But that just shows the attention to detail that these companies put into these games. That
Mhm.
later you go, oh, I played it for 10 years. I never knew that. Look at that. You know,
Yeah.
like just the three things they've said so far. I've been surprised. I've never would have known. Never would have
The
known.
gang signs is tricky to
the
see.
gang
too.
signs, the puking on the counter. It's kind of cool. The heat coming off the body that shows on the screen. I mean, obviously you got to pay attention now to see that, but very, very clear sign of these companies, the attention to detail they put on these games when they're creating them.
Especially on the older hardware too, like PS2.
For sure. I mean, I'm sure it was 10 times more difficult back then because they didn't have the technology, you know, quite there to do all this. They must have had to put in a lot of work into doing that.
I could just imagine the puking and all that stuff. It's like, how do they?
Right? Well, I mean, it looks like they just put green lines, which that's it's a pretty, you know, pretty clear sign that you're
And so
puking.
far, the points we've seen are all in GTA San Andreas. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
game
for
was
sure.
a big deal.
very big deal.
Anything-
Ryan says, crazy how those graphics change. Absolutely. I
I
mean, we
know.
always say it when we play these games. These graphics,
I love the
how
part
they
where you
progressed,
said,
it's insane,
I
man.
love the part when we were playing GTA on the channel and we put the video up and I just said, "Oh, the game looks nicer in HD graphics," and you're like, "Really? I can't tell the difference."
I
dude."
can't, but it's true how the graphics have progressed.
Can we see GTA 6 like a teaser and see what they're gonna do?
Hopefully soon, dude. Hopefully soon.
All right, let's get back into it, shall we?
But it really just shows, wow, they went the extra mile there. And next,
Exactly,
over at number
what we just talked
24,
about.
the abandoned airstrip towards the later half of the game, there's a random windsock that is blowing in the wind while it actually blows in whatever direction the wind is blowing accurately.
would make
This
sense.
is pretty much true of any flag in the game, actually, but that is just something really cool. The
No,
game
but it
doesn't really
go,
need
like,
wind,
one
but
way.
they
It goes
gave it
wherever
wind.
The wind is blowing.
Well,
And
yeah,
down at
but
number
I mean,
23, you
that's-
may remember that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas had skills you could kind of level up. Well, low driving skill CJ actually looks behind him when reversing in his car, while if you upgrade your driving skill, if you get the high driving skill, he actually just uses the rear view mirror instead because
Okay.
he's so in touch with
That
his
sounds
car.
like me in
I
the real
love
road.
little details like this. I think that is the
I got
coolest thing,
this.
especially in terms
I
of
got
symbolizing
this.
some character progression. You don't see stuff like this in games anymore. Moving
Yeah.
on over to Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars at number 22. It's a game that's not talked about enough, to be honest. But one cool detail is if you drive your
What was
car
that game?
into a body of
So
water,
Chinatown Wars was a game.
I never knew about this game.
It was a handheld game. It was released for the DS. Now, the
Okay.
DS was new at the time, so they were like, "Okay, let's put a GTA game on there."
Really?
And then it
I never
came
knew
out
about
on PSP and then the phones. So it's more of a mobile type
okay.
title.
Interesting.
So it's like it wasn't a 3D title. It was a top-down title. So like
what was it
Bird's
called
Eye-
again?
Chinatown Wars.
Chinatown Wars. GTA Chinatown Wars.
you have to
Alright.
do a little mini game to break the glass before you can escape the car. It's like a small little detail thing, but also kind
You
of
have to break
increases
the
the fun
glass to
factor a little
escape
bit because
the-
it's just a fun, quick mini game that adds a little bit more
hard.
to do to the
Interesting.
game. And next, over at number 21 in Chinatown Wars, in the far corners of the city, out on the water, you can find signs that say, "Here be dragons." "Here be dragons," of course, is a reference to the old-timey phrase, possibly on maps, that would kind of just mean dangerous or unexplored
funny.
territories. But now we're going on over to
cool.
Vice
So like
City.
the
We
real
got some
world,
really cool
right?
ones from this game. At number 21, NPCs in roller skates will actually
boy,
trip
that guy's
up
having
in
trouble
sand at the
rollerblading.
beach or just in grass. They can
Dude, what the hell was that?
So, but they actually fall on sand.
It looks like, dude, rewind that. That was hilarious.
What was that?
What?
Rollerblading.
actually trip up in sand at the beach or just in grass.
Oh my god, the 2002 mechanics or whatever.
Oh my god, it looks like he had like thorns in his ass. That
But
was
it's
crazy.
cool. They don't just continue rollerblading when they're on sand. If they're on sand, they're gonna stop and
No,
fall.
of course they're gonna fall. Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's hilarious, dude. That was.
Wouldn't
funny.
that be funny if they just kept rollerblading down?
right down the sand, just like nothing? That would have been too much. Dude. All right.
They can only skate on smooth surfaces
Of
like
course.
pavement and streets because
Oh,
that's like
oh,
real
lady.
life,
Oh,
and it's kind of
she's going
funny
on
when they
sand.
trip
Ah,
up.
falls
At
again.
number 20, a really cool one, traffic lights will flash yellow during severe storms, indicating that there's no power or that there is a
How's The
state of
Walking Dead?
emergency, which is super cool because it's very similar to real life. It's almost like they knew that the game was taking place in a Florida tropical style climate, so they took little steps to really make it feel like that. And next, at
Good
number
idea.
19, if we're talking Vice
Pretty
City,
true.
you know we gotta mention it. The Chariot Hotel, of course, one of the biggest hotel buildings in all Vice City. It also has one of the biggest Easter eggs, I would say. The hotel building is obviously famous for, at night, the windows light up in the shape of this. Yep, you betcha, it's a dick, of course, because
is
it's
that?
Rockstar. This is peak.
That's
Rockstar.
hilarious. What?
Dude, that's clever.
Really?
Rockstar Games humor,
That's a hell of an
especially
Easter
at the
egg,
time,
huh?
how they were with obscene stuff like this.
So
Can you
everybody,
imagine the mom buying this for the kid and going, "Honey, I heard this game has an Easter egg. Why don't you find it and tell me all about it?" Okay, Mom.
hey mom, look who's asleep
Yeah,
and look who's
Mom, I
awake.
found the Easter egg. Look what it does. Huh? Yeah, come here. Look. Mom gets in, she faints. The hell is going on?
You're worried about that more than the killing and all
Right?
that stuff in the game.
Pretty funny. It's pretty childish, but you love to see it. I mean, do you love to see it? I don't know. It depends who you are. Next at number 18,
Funny.
a weird little detail. You can only do a wheelie while going south at top speed. If you try this while going north, you can't do it. This is known as the infamous north bug. Next over at number
Oh, it's just-
17,
that's
this was a
weird.
much
Yeah.
more subtle effect in Vice City, and to be honest, it took me a long time to figure it out, but you can actually improve your stamina in this game by running around more. More distance traveled on foot essentially levels up your stamina, and Tommy can run
just like real
longer
life.
without
Yeah.
getting
Train
tired.
more.
And next at number
You get-
16,
you
a
get
small
better.
little
You get- your
detail on
lungs
just
get
how the
better.
world works. If you steal a bus, you can stop at bus stops, and people will get on the bus, and then they will pay you $5 because
Of
there's an
course.
actual bus system, and
'Cause they
you're
don't know what's
essentially
going on.
This driver
operating
looks
in it, which is
new.
pretty cool. There's like a
Hi,
little
honey. How
economy
you
there.
doing?
I wish I could steal a bus and have people give me money.
$5.
Next over at number 15 in
bucks
terms
to
of
clean a
getting
bus.
money.
It's horrible. Can't even buy a candy bar for $5, dude.
They're
What?
expensive. That's cool though. You can be a bus driver just because you steal a bus. That was fun.
Bonuses in the game. Taking out NPCs that cops are chasing will give you a $50 good citizen bonus. Does that work in real life? I'm not about to find out. Next over at
Ooh.
number 14.
Wait, if you do what? If you're
So if you see a cop chasing a criminal and you
Oh,
punch
and you
down
help out?
and you punch down the criminal, you get $50 for being a good
That's
citizen.
it?
Yeah.
man, better get the freaking Medal of Freedom for that.
You stop the
$50.
guy. That would have been
That's
cool.
2 Subway sandwiches, man. Sorry.
On Starfish Island, you can find a beach ball that you can just kind of kick around and mess around with and play with the physics and goof off, but there's actually also a secret mini game that scores you for how long you can keep it up in the air. I'm sure many
Really?
people spent a lot of time messing around with this.
Oh,
Next
yeah,
over
we
at number
spent hours
13,
right
there's
there.
a
I
fake
got it.
moon
I'm gonna
landing
drop
set
it.
found in the movie studio area in the game. This is, of course, a reference to the speculation that the moon landing was fake, possibly that it was shot on a movie set, possibly directed by Stanley Kubrick. I could go on about this, but yeah, very cool reference in the game,
Huh.
a funny, nerdy
Oh,
thing
that's
that we
cool.
really
Yeah,
appreciate.
very cool. Interesting.
Next at number 12, the guy selling guns at the downtown ammunition store is actually modeled after Rockstar's very own Sam Hauser, the co-founder of Rockstar Games. Considering those Hauser brothers don't make a lot of public appearances, this is probably the best you'll get.
Oh, what are you?
And next at number 11
Drop them.
in Vice City, a very small but very cool detail are the ghost ships. It's like a phenomenon. Out on the horizon in the water, at times you can spot the silhouette of a battleship. I say battleship, but there are also other shapes that people have kind of taken
Not
to
even on the water.
classifying, and you can't actually ever fly out or get to or reach these things. They are literally just little vague placeholders put out into the water, maybe
Yeah,
for
it's just
immersion,
for
but they're in the
drop.
distance. They only appear for a few seconds at a time, and they're just really creepy. If you've never noticed them before, definitely get a sniper rifle and take a look. Next at number 10, get a
Oh
high
yeah,
enough
let me
wanted.
get my sniper rifle to see what's out there. Oh yeah, I see that ship.
I
How
mean,
weird would that be, right?
But like you said, it was probably for detail of the map at the time, like just to give it its like little flares and stuff.
Oh, for sure. It's just for optics, but
Plus, in that game, you can't swim, so it's like
but isn't it funny to be playing and then you see a ship and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And you like focus in and it just like disappears. You're like, what just happened? Huh? Where'd it go? That's funny.
Beer Rose said something about the bus thing. Well, at least he can make money without committing robbery.
That's right. That's right.
$5.
$5. Hey, $5 is $5.
Level and 2 cops in a sports car will start hunting you and chasing you down. And that's actually, of course, a Miami Vice reference. Think of this as the GTA Vice City
Oh, so
version.
if you
It's
get higher
super cool
stars,
and
you
it
get,
works
like, these
perfectly
undercover
for the
cops,
setting and time
basically.
period.
Oh, really?
Next
Yeah.
at number 9, you can find guys who were drowned wearing cement shoes, mafia style, in multiple spots in the bay.
Oh.
That is a very cool detail and one of the first kind of
Jesus.
water-based hidden details in a GTA game, and it's these dudes sleeping with the fishes. Next up, we're gonna go down to Grand Theft Auto 3 at number
That's funny. And
8.
weird at
You
the
can
same
actually
time.
give the finger to people. This was a thing I used to do in this game all the time. I would take Claude, motion him towards a car in traffic, and a lot of the times if you face the right way and the car honks at you, Claude will give them the finger. Seems like not a
Aw.
big deal now, but back in the day, that was a really cool little detail that
cares.
just
That's why
helped
he's
for the
doing that.
immersion, I guess. Now over at
Hey,
number
you
7,
remember-
sometimes
Yeah.
on the street there can be an NPC with some headphones on, and if you get close enough to them, you can actually hear what they're listening to. Another small detail that the game didn't need, but for the time, that was
Sounds like real
pretty
life.
advanced and really impressive. Also at number
That's
6,
cool.
people forget this, but there is dismemberment and body damage depending on where you shoot.
Oh.
It made the shootouts really
Jesus,
kind
was
of
that
more over the
fountain?
top and gory, almost like totally cartoony, but it really, really worked for the time. Also at number 5,
Wow.
maybe you've never noticed this, but there's a functioning clock and thermometer on Staunton Boulevard, which actually changes and works in real time, which is pretty sweet. And next at number 4
Wow, they
in
care.
GTA 3, a very small open world detail, something that we take for granted today, but was incredible at the time, was the fact that some buildings or some stores open and close depending on the time of day. Most notably, some players have observed
That would be funny. If
Just
the,
like real life.
that would be funny if the stores were just open all day. They're like,
Yeah, and all night.
they're like
And it's the same guy at the register. He's just like, he's 34 hours in. He's like, hi, we're still open. Yeah.
we
Huh?
don't close.
He's like out of his mind already. He's like, we don't close. We never close. Yeah, we're here. We're open. We never close. We never close. We're here. Yeah, we never close. We're here. You're like, okay, cool.
It would be
I'm-
cool. Here's the thing. It would have been cool to do that. However, Rockstar wanted to make the world, realistic functions. So I can get that at that point. Where it's like, all right, we're closed. Sorry.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is cool. Appreciation. for
a
that.
strip club in the red light district, changing from open to close from day to night. Again, when you think about it now, not the biggest deal, but for a game that released in 2001, that is absolutely mind-blowing in terms of the level of absolutely tiny detail. Just wow. Next at number 3, a couple of things. These are also in Vice City and San Andreas, but it really started in Grand Theft Auto 3. First, if you kill someone and step on their body, which is obviously usually in a pool of blood, for a little while walking around, you will leave bloody footprints. Also, pedestrians will sometimes just fight each other, but they can also even start shootings. They're very unpredictable and you never know what they're going to do. And they were detailed and really advanced
like
for
real
the
life.
time. Also, NPCs react to destruction like car crashes or explosions, but they'll even gather
like he's
around
looking
in a
down.
circle
Is he
to watch
dead?
something going
I see
on.
blood,
Which
but I
leads
don't
me
know
over
if
to
he's
number
breathing
2.
or
This
not.
also happens in Grand Theft Auto 2 if we're going back even further. If you shoot people, paramedics will come to assist them and attempt to save them. This actually started in the original Grand Theft Auto, the one that started it all.
Wow.
Now down to number 1 if we're
Yeah,
talking.
dude, the paramedics are way better than the older GTA games. Remember we played GTA 5 and the paramedics come, they're like, okay.
Yeah, they're all lazy, taking notes. He's like, hey, what's up, Bob? Yeah. Is he breathing? All right, let's put that down. Not breathing.
All right, let's go get tacos.
The guy on the ground has like a candy bar in his hand. He's like, I don't know. I don't see a pulse. I don't feel it.
All right,
Well,
our
let's
job is
call it a night.
But these ones actually try to save them,
Yeah,
and sometimes they
yeah.
do.
It's funny
Which-
how that changed. I don't know what happened there, but
Maybe they just didn't want it. They didn't care.
Talking old Grand Theft
What's up?
Auto games, Grand Theft Auto 2's forgotten live action intro thing made from a short film. It's a small detail, but really helped sell the game. There was actually an 8-minute Grand Theft Auto 2 short film made for advertising and selling the game, which you can still access, but it depicts Claude in the game stealing a car and doing crime stuff. And the opening of the game was pieced together from all of this. And it was just really awesome and a totally forgotten detail that we kind of wanted to end on and point out. But those are a bunch of details from...
Wow.
They did talk about a short film, but it was only 8 minutes of just that for an intro of a game, which makes sense because Rockstar has said that they don't really feel like their games need to be in a movie media type area because they already feel that they're already making so much powerful.
Oh no,
media.
they're way past that already.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hollywood, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
No, and they don't need to. I mean, if they really wanted to, they would.
I'm sure they can.
Needed it,
but they should have some control though. Like I don't think Hollywood directors and all that stuff.
But I think that that moving forward, maybe for number 6, they come out with some spectacular announcement, or maybe they do a short film to blow up number 6 coming out.
They could.
So
I
we'll
just
see.
if you're gonna make a film, I would want like the creators to have some control over it since it's their.
Oh, they have
thing.
to.
Yeah.
They have to. Yeah, they're not gonna just hand it over to a production company and be like, "Hey, just do whatever you want with this," you know.
Just make sure we have our name on it.
Yeah, just put our name at the end. It's fine. Put an asterisk next to it or something. You know, it'll be fine. I know. They have to have complete control of that. I mean, that's their baby too.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Next thing. What made GTA San Andreas a big deal when it came out in 2004? Let's discuss, shall we? Or
We
watch
shall.
and discuss.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is just a great game. Anyone who remembers playing this game for the first time really remembers when large scale met quality one of the first times. That's certainly not to say that Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City didn't pave the way, but San Andreas was just something more. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, we ask the question, why was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas a big deal?
A lot of answers for
The
that.
PlayStation 2 was an incredibly successful system. It is the best-selling
was.
video game console of all time and has sold 150 million units worldwide. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is the game that has sold the most copies on PlayStation 2, and it's done that by a large amount. Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec is in second place with 14.89 million, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas sold 17.33 million, so a very wide margin separates these two games. And it obviously came out on more platforms than PlayStation 2, however, to note that it dominated the platform that dominated at the time shows just how big it was. By 2011, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas had sold 27.5 million copies across all platforms, and that's a lot. We all responded very well to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And in truth, it's still probably the one I remember the most of. Generally, people consider it to be a very good game, perhaps one of the best in the Grand Theft Auto series. I've seen more than enough argument about the map versus another map in another Grand Theft Auto game. And in truth, the map is a good place to start. San Andreas, rather than being a city, is a state. Kind of a tri-county area, if you will, made up of 3 cities. Los Santos, which corresponds to Los Angeles and was later expounded on for Grand Theft Auto 5, San Fierro, which acts as a stand-in for San Francisco, and Las Venturas, which is Las Vegas.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like it wasn't just a city; it was an entire state to explore.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
3 cities to roam around in, which was that was a big time because this game didn't
Very
take
big time.
didn't take so between GTA 3 and Vice City. So GTA 3 came out in 2001, and then they went straight into development of Vice City,
Right.
which came out in 2002,
Right.
and then San Andreas didn't come out till 2004. So they had to take about 1 or 2 years to make this, which kind of explains why, because they had to make all this city stuff.
Right.
So that I agree that.
But just look at that picture right there of Las Vegas. That looks like I'm looking at, a newscast of Las Vegas, on the strip. That's pretty awesome, man.
And obviously everything's Rockstar branded, like they have their own
Yep.
stores and everything.
Yep.
But they managed to make the buildings and everything really look like Las Vegas, Nevada, which is amazing.
Yes.
Now, Las Vegas is, of course, in
We have,
Nevada, so they're
Carla
taking
and
a
Amy
few.
Rose on the thread on the chat. Thank you guys for jumping on. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. You guys are
Liberties,
having a
but
good day.
I mean, that's why we like Grand Theft Auto, is it not? It's certainly not for geographical accuracy we play the game, but rather the sort of image they create that references what we know in the real world. It's actually fun to see how they transform it and what elements of the cities they want to present as the essence of them. And that all three of these cities are so vibrantly characterized, even as somewhat of a pastiche, is part of why this game is so good. I love that it's easy to tell where you are in the game. It so obviously notes the change in city with a totally different look. It's obvious when you're in San Fierro or Las Venturas. The difference between these cities is so well.
Yeah, you go around and you're like, oh, I'm still in Vegas. It's like, no, you're in San Francisco, sir.
Yeah, I mean, obviously because of landmarks, you could tell where you're at, you know. But they did a really good job on details, so you know
what city you're in.
Yeah, what city you're in.
Which is
that's
good. You
very
don't always get confused.
But you know what's funny about this is they got that down, but what they didn't have down yet was the design of the characters. As you can tell, they're still very blocky, you know?
Yeah.
Their arms are blocky, their whole head is blocky, and it's like, it's interesting how the city looks complete and it looks like a painting almost, but the characters were still like very, like, still work in progress, you know? Yeah, there's very, you know, their arms are like 3 blocks, you know? It's interesting. And now, I mean, now it's almost, you can't even tell, but another interesting point.
Highlighted that I often found that I tended to have a favorite area of the game, and I just hung around there, and it was San Fierro, which is this very pretty, calm city that you can still get into some serious nonsense if you look. The setting had so much to offer that it created its own myths. Because of how creepy it could be at night in the forest, or how eerie it could be in the thick fog, lots of people thought Bigfoot was in the game somewhere, or that Leatherface was about hanging in an abandoned hut somewhere. The internet wasn't as well organized at this point in time, and we didn't have a constant drip feed of information in the way we do now. And I think that lent to the sort of creation of urban legends associated with this game. And again,
Oh, that's a real thing. If you go up to the bridge with a jetpack or whatever,
Yeah.
the sign will say, there are no Easter eggs up here. Go find something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a sign that
Oh,
says
wow.
that. Just to give you a heads up.
Wow, that's very cool. That's interesting.
Well, can you imagine? Like, you're, all right, let's go up here. Let's see if they hid something up here. There's no Easter eggs up here.
They let you know. They let you know now, so you don't mess around up there and get back to the game. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know.
Sorry, sir, there's no Easter eggs up here.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that. What
The
game is
setting
that
was-
on? Did they have the sign?
In GTA San Andreas, like if
Only
you
on that one?
yeah, as far as I've seen, yeah. But can you imagine, like, you go up there? What if there's a person that told you, sorry, sir?
And
no."
is it just like a paper sign, or is
No,
it
it's like a sign that's carved in the bridge, but
oh,
it's
on the bridge?
yeah, it's on the very top of like one of those, those tower
Yeah,
bridge
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
to go up top there and you'll see it.
Interesting. Oh, we gotta do that one day. Now I want to see that.
It's a funny sign though.
That's I'm sure. It sounds funny.
No Easter eggs. Period.
That's
was huge
it's
and
obviously done on
gave you
purpose,
so
but-
much
Yeah.
to try to see and find. But that's just the setting. The plot itself is just a totally different, borderline, unprecedented, and unrepeated kind of story. It functions basically as a satire of gangsta culture from the early 90s. And although it certainly falls into some traps of stereotypes, I think it's more important to talk about just how well characterized everyone was and how well the interaction between characters ended up working. This was probably one of the first games where the story was based around camaraderie in a way that it
Yep.
could be this good, and on top of that, for the most part, it nailed it. I feel like Final Fantasy XV, for example, wouldn't exist in the same state that it does. It wouldn't get the same kind of praise it got for its characterization of 4 buddies if
Is that
Grand
kinda the same
Theft
thing?
Auto San
Yeah,
Andreas
those are different
didn't
games.
do what it did. The main character, CJ, is a member of the Grove Street family's gang, and what starts out as a turf war between them and several other rival gangs, quickly balloons into a large statewide syndicate built by CJ and all of the pressures and threats that come along with that. Well, like I said earlier, the game sometimes falls into very stereotypical performances. It does manage to have an incredibly diverse set of characters. And I mean that both in the sense of the ethnicity of the characters, as well as their demeanors, goals, and expectations. It is not perfect, and I'm not going to pretend it is, but rather than shying away, it ambitiously did at least try. It also was more than willing to paint characters in both a positive and a negative light, depending on the context. Like I said, we saw the camaraderie of the gang members, something that gang members aren't really portrayed with in most media. And while they are portrayed as bad people in quite a few different contexts, they're also shown to be humans that talk to each other like humans. And you would build an empire in this world. You would travel to locations that they really haven't even tried to replicate in the ensuing games. There is a non-zero amount of alien content and Area 51 type conspiracy theory stuff in this game, and it is silly, it is fun, and it is engaging in a way a lot of games tend not to be. It was willing to keep the main story in the realm of real with all of these fun little diversions that just obviously weren't. And with your Bigfoot rumors and your Leatherface rumors, the PC version is also...
That guy looked ugly, dude. He looked like a mix of Jigsaw and Leatherface with the chainsaw in his hand. That was weird.
But those were myths back in the day that everybody was making up. It's like, can you find this guy? Like, you gotta look around. And
well, there were myths in the game, but I mean, the movies were already out of those characters. I mean, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was already out. You know, obviously the myth of Bigfoot had been out for many years.
But you see how like people spent
in
time
the game,
yeah,
and they spent time looking for that. That's really cool.
I guess that's what gave
also
its
known
longevity.
for one big thing: hot coffee. With all the urban legends and rumors about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the one that turned out to be true happened to be one where a couple of sex minigames were uncovered by a modder and made available for everyone. If this hadn't have been done, we probably wouldn't have been exposed to just how far Sam Houser wanted to push this game. The content itself was originally planned to be in the game. It wasn't added by the modder, it was unlocked. And when you read the original motivations for why the content was intended to be in, it's very interesting. It has to do with pushing video games to the same place that movies and TV were, which was basically allowed to represent all aspects of the human experience. Sex was one of those things. Not necessarily that it was going to be realistic or in some way that could be actually gratifying to you. It was more intended to be funny and push the boundaries, so there actually was simply just a popular example of a game that had sex in it and was allowed to be sold. The developers thought this was a good thing to do. And if that really was the full motivation, I'm there. I agree with that. It was something that for some reason other art forms were allowed to do that games weren't at the time. And it caused a huge...
that's another issue. Is like certain scenes of like, you know, the intercourse or whatever happens in those scenes, like those love scenes or however they film them, especially in like explicit type movies, like R-rated movies and such. It's like, you see that in the theater. You could see that sometimes. And then if there's an unrated version, there you go, right there. And then at the time, games were like, if you have that, that's a little much right there. I don't think you should have that. That's
a little risque.
It's like, but Sam Houser, like you said, he's like, but we think this is getting the boundaries of games to really change how the media looks at it. Like,
for sure. I mean, listen,
I can see why he wanted to do it.
There's always going to be the critics that, oh my God, sex in a video game? Like, you know.
It was a mini game too.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real. You could, anywhere you turn, there's sex. You know, anywhere. On posters, on phones, on computers, on pictures, on movies, on radio, on
music,
on everything. So, I mean, it's just like everything else, man. You know, you're gonna have the people that just take it to that, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. I have virgin eyes, you know, type of BS, to people like, oh, that's cool. That's freaking cool, man. How did I think of that? You know? So it just, you know, it's the same as always.
Let's see what else.
Controversy with the ESRB and the ratings for the game. That code had specifically been hidden to keep the game at a mature rating so it wouldn't be an adults-only game, which would restrict about 80% of its retail possibilities. When Sam Houser found out they wouldn't be able to include that content, he said it felt like we're not really pushing boundaries then. But at the same time, they were. They absolutely were. It just wasn't necessarily the cultural boundaries, the taboos that they were trying to break. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas did so much more than just that. The sheer amount of vehicles, the types of vehicles, the airplanes, which, yes, even that remote control plane that David Cross yelled all the annoying crap while you were trying to perform the mission. Curse you, Berkeley! Ugh. And here's the thing, even though that was possibly one of the most annoying
But that was
things
one of the big
ever,
things. It continues to be one of the big things about this game. Airplanes,
Yeah.
cars, absolutely.
Yes.
Weapons
Boats.
and boats. I mean, that is a huge, huge part of this game. I'm again attached to this. I'm just looking forward to 6 and beyond, because I think it'd be really cool for them to add maybe like another cool staple of this game moving forward. Maybe like more animals, like animals that actually attack you. You know, like if you're walking the mountains or something, a fucking bear wraps you up and tears you to pieces. That would be cool, dude. You know, something like that. Because I mean, honestly, that's real life.
Yeah.
That's real life. You know, so maybe something like that. But anyways, it's definitely a big part of it.
That was a funny mission. You just hear, you know, the actor David Cross and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and he was just shouting, "Curse you, Berkeley! Curse you!" Wait, just listen to this though.
it somehow manages to feel iconic in its own way. If you manage to beat that mission, which was incredibly hard, and manage to put up with the voice acting, which even the voice actor themselves couldn't do. In an interview in 2016, David Cross said that he hated playing that mission in the game because his voice is so annoying there. If you could do that, we're kind of pretty awesome, actually. And ultimately, the game itself was kind of what all of that was about. Giving you a place where you can do anything. And some of it is so silly, some of it is so wild, but some of it is so impressive and awesome. I mean, eventually you've got an alien jetpack in this game.
Hell
And you
yeah.
could do stuff that is not possible in any ensuing Grand Theft Auto, for sure. But to compare the possibilities present in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a
Everybody's jumping.
game of 3 cities that gives you
This
just
truck's
an
like-
endless
Oh
number
well.
of things to do, comparing it to games outside of Grand Theft Auto now. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was more than complete. It was above and beyond what it needed to be, and that
You
was
doing spray
it.
painting?
That was that.
Is he trying to kill people with spray paint?
Can't that happen?
He's like, I'll get you. He's like, ah.
You bought Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and you were in for a ride, and the ride didn't stop until you wanted to stop, and that just puts it in a different class. Grand Theft Auto games are still like that today, although I don't know that they've captured the magic of the map or the camaraderie of the characters that San Andreas really did. That's not to say Grand Theft Auto 5 doesn't exceed San Andreas in many respects, but there is just some element of magic that I'm not sure that anyone has reproduced since this game. What do you think? What did you love Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for? Leave us a comment.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, let's see you answer that, then I'll answer my
Well,
version.
here's the thing, and what I said, and I think I'll continue to say, is that I don't think there will ever be a game like GTA San Andreas ever.
I agree.
Because it pushed the boundaries so hard for an open world game. In an open world game, we have 3 cities to go and explore and go to stores and go do anything. And then they're talking about how Sam Houser really wanted that content because he really wanted it to go to the boundaries. But, you know, publishers and saying, you can't do that. That's stupid. It's like, you're going to hurt our reputation
Right.
and boundaries. It's
Right.
like, come on, man. Like, I'm making the game for you, and, you know, this is what we want. Now, creative control and all that stuff is going to happen in any industry for sure. But I think what they put out in general anyway really did something in that case, because there's a lot of games that try to get success off that. They're like, oh, we
For
can do
sure.
better than that, and then they just don't do better than that. They can't capture the magic and all that stuff that GTA San Andreas created,
Right.
and what created for later GTA games down the road. And I just think GTA San Andreas is one of the unique games that really peaked on those days, and nobody can repeat that
No.
ever
No, I just think San Andreas was definitely the pioneer into this franchise.
for an open world.
Absolutely.
Genre.
Yeah, they had it down, I mean, to a T. And even though that was the beginning of everything for them, it's almost as they rehearsed this, like this is what, this is what we're going to be doing. And like they were doing it for years, but they were very creative on doing this because, again, like you said, it was a risk they're taking at the same time, but it was they already had a vision that the interaction that this game had, on the screen, like you find a house, you go into the house, and you go into a store, and you buy a candy bar, and then everything that you're able to do and see and find, that was like explosive, man. That was just like brand new, and that just opened the doors for all these other games that do similar things.
Yeah.
But obviously this franchise continued doing that, and they just went, they would just top themselves every single time, up to what they have now with GTA 5.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody on that's a gamer knows that all the stuff that game has. And it comes from this.
And it was a complete package.
Yeah.
You had the story, you had
everything,
the world, you had
everything.
getting fat, getting
Dude, everything. I'm telling you, they took their time. They knew what they were doing. They took their time. They
pushing the limits on hardware. Now, again, it was on PS2, so
right.
there's not really too much stuff you can do, but
right.
they expanded.
For sure. That's why I think they were very smart on waiting for the new consoles to come out recently, for the new games to come out, because they want to put so much power in these games that they want to make sure that the consoles could sustain it. Because I could just imagine what they're gonna put into those games, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting a GTA 5 upgrade later this year, so
right. Even that is going to be, I think, amazing.
But San Andreas was
that opened the doors
perfect.
for everything, man. That opened the doors for everything, and that was a risk well took from them.
All right, last one we're gonna read. So we talked about Rockstar. Now this is a video by Badger Gooder. I think his name is called
Hula what?
Badger Gooder. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. I like his content. I think he's really informational on stuff. Does his good research. But this is talking about the actors who were a part of Rockstar Games.
Okay.
So just like problems, good things, bad things. Maybe you'll see some actors that you probably know that were in these GTA games and you just didn't know. So we'll get into that, okay?
All right, in the chat, really quick, we have Joaquin Castro. Saludos desde Argentina. Joaquin, muy buenos días o tardes allá, quien sabe. Pero muchísimas gracias por el apoyo desde Argentina. Argentina. Saludos, Argentina. Y espero que te estés tomando tu sabroso mate en este momento.
All right, translator.
We have a new friend here, Joaquin Castro, saying hi from Argentina. I was just doing a shout out in Spanish for him really quick.
Amy Rose Isaacs said this: PS2 had huge hardware limitations, but people managed to bypass that using their minds. Exactly. There was so many things that you had to downgrade or upgrade to make sure that the game worked and fit. There's no possibility. Now with the PS5 and whatever they have coming, it opens the doors, and it's like Sony and Xbox just gave them like a kit,
right?
And told them, hey,
right.
Play with this, see what you like, and see what you want to do with it. And you're like, okay, maybe we can explore a bit on that, because there's something we didn't do in this game that we really wanted to do, but again, hardware didn't allow us to do that.
True.
So I think that's what they're looking at right now with the PS5 and the Xbox and all the other stuff that's coming out. So, I mean, they did release a game on the Switch not too long ago. Rockstar did.
Oh, really?
So, and
What was that?
It was a detective game. It was called LA Noire. It took place in the 40s.
Okay.
And you played as a detective. It was like a 1940s LA that you got to explore.
Okay.
And it worked really well on the Switch. It ran pretty well, and turns out Rockstar really wanted to put that game on the Switch.
Is it popular, or is it?
Yeah, it's popular. It sold a couple million. So.
Oh, okay. A couple million. Yeah, nothing. Of course. You're like, yeah, it sold that. I don't know, 50 million. It's nothing. It's starting out. You know, it's a rookie.
It's a
I'm
Rockstar
just like,
game.
how many? Okay.
It's a Rockstar game. What do you expect? They get money. All
Blue
right.
Feather 917. Hey, nice translation. Not bad. Well, thank you very much. I do speak and read and write fluent Spanish. So I would imagine that I can. But thank you very much. We try, and we appreciate everybody shouting out from wherever they are. We appreciate the love. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Let's get into the actors game here with Rockstar. Okay. You ready?
Actors, let's do it.
For many years, fans of Rockstar Games have recognized the famous voices of some of their favorite characters. Everyone from Michael Rappaport as Joey Leone, to Gary Busey as Phil Cassidy, to Samuel L. Jackson as Frank Tenpenny, to Phil Collins as Phil
They
Collins.
were playing that. I was gonna mention it. I totally lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say, is that Samuel L. Jackson? He sounds exactly like him. I didn't know that.
It was Samuel Jackson.
Well, thank you very much for confirming that.
These voices certainly bring their characters to life, but it seems that not all of those who provided the voices were particularly happy with their experience of working with Rockstar. Not only that, but the people at Rockstar themselves weren't that happy with working with some of the voiceover talent either, and this is part of the reason why a big change was made in the way that Rockstar goes about hiring actors for their roles. Let's start by going back in time to 2001. Grand Theft Auto 3 was well into production, and it was time to begin hiring voice actors for the characters in this video game. They wanted to use celebrities in the game and hired everyone from Michael Madsen to Kyle MacLachlan to Frank Vincent, who had previously been in films like Goodfellas and Casino. Great actor, plenty of memorable roles, but video games at the time were something of an anomaly to a lot of film and TV actors. And a lot of them, especially the older ones, probably didn't know much of anything about video games. And Frank Vincent made that pretty clear. According to the book Jacked by David Kushner, upon walking into the recording studio, the first thing he said to the Rockstar staff was, "I don't know shit about video games, I don't know what the f this is." Naveed Kansari, the director of the voiceover sessions,
Hey, he's being honest, right? He's being honest, but you know what? I'm curious to see, and I don't know if we asked Dave B. Mitchell when we interviewed him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave B. Mitchell. What's up, man? Did we ask him or did we not ask him about what the I think I did ask him what the difference was between voicing a film to voicing a video game. Has he ever done a video game?
Yeah. Well, of course, he always does video games more than he's
Okay,
ever
I'm trying to
done.
remember. I don't know if we asked him or not, but I think it's something to keep in mind that these actors, like this guy saying, that they walk into a studio and it's like maybe it feels different, or maybe the director's like, you know, hey, you're gonna do it this way, and that's why he's like saying that he doesn't know shit about video games, and I don't give a f, and let's just go. All right, where's my tea? Let's do it.
let him know that it's basically no different from a movie. I don't think there were any issues with Vincent after that, and I feel like more than likely he was just a little confused about the whole thing at the beginning. I mean, he was 64 years old in 2001. You could forgive him for not being entirely sure about what this was all about. But when he realized that it's basically voice acting, he was probably fine with it. If he really gave them a tough time, I doubt they would have brought him back twice to reprise his role as Salvatore Leone. I just wanted to tell that story because I read it in the book and I thought it was pretty funny. It could have been worse. He could have told Dan Houser to go home and get his f***ing shine box. While Frank Vincent came back to play Salvatore Leone in both San Andreas and Liberty City stories, Michael Madsen didn't reprise his role as Sal's underboss, Tony Cipriani, when that character was made into a protagonist in Liberty City stories. I can't find exactly why he didn't return, but given how Liberty City Stories was clearly a much lower budget title than Vice City and San Andreas, maybe they just didn't feel that having to pay Michael Madsen to play a top role was within their budget when all this was at the time was just a PSP exclusive title. The first handheld GTA since GTA Advance, and one they were probably hoping wouldn't flop this time. Another character from GTA 3 who
It was a PlayStation Portable, so it was PlayStation's first type of DS of some sort, or a Game Boy of some sort. So it was like a handheld PlayStation thing.
It was strictly. Wait, what was the portable again?
PlayStation Portable. It was like basically like
Why did I never see this or hear about this?
I had one, but it was like really short. But it was like a big device like this,
Yeah.
and had a screen and controllers and stuff. So
Like
imagine it like
a Nintendo Switch.
almost, yeah. But this one's just portable. Like all you do is just take it around with you. That's why they called it the PlayStation Portable.
It only had one game,
No, it had some games.
or you could use different cartridges.
Yeah, you did
Huh.
different
I
cartridges.
never heard of that.
But I could see why Rockstar didn't want to use like a bunch of budget just to get that one actor back, because it's just a small game. Like it's on a PSP. It probably doesn't cost that
That was
much.
their
to
thought.
make.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
I don't blame them, because you don't want to overspend and be like, come on, this game's got to make a lot of money because we just paid a lot of money for
Yeah.
Michael Madsen.
Okay, interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know
again,
that.
that's not their official reason. There could be a ton of reasons why, but
right,
I think that's a good theory to
for sure.
keep our minds
For
to.
sure.
Who I always felt should have returned in another game but didn't was Luigi Gortelli, played by Joe Pantoliano. But there might be a reason why he didn't return. According to Rolling Stone magazine, Pantoliano once regretted doing GTA 3 because he thought it was too violent and he has kids.
This is the same guy who played the boss in Bad Boys, who curses like a sailor.
Yeah, and has been in many different movies that aren't exactly PG.
And so you had a problem playing like a boss in GTA 3?
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a total different conversation, but I just think that just goes to show, the respect, or I should say the very little respect actors back then had for video games.
Yeah.
They were well-known actors, and they were almost offended that they were somewhat asked to be part of these, to take this role. But number one, they would take it because they were getting paid.
Yeah.
Dummies, and like they're not going to take it. But then, they kind of like talk down to it and be like, and it's like, oh well, this is
I'm not being filmed.
Yeah, this is violent. I don't know about this. Well, then give me my check back. We'll take you off the game. So that's, I mean, it's just crappy that
Let's
happened.
keep
but,
going on what
yeah.
Badger said.
This, coming from the guy who played Ralph Cifaretto.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess he had no problem with that time he was on screen as that character beating a pregnant prostitute to death.
Yeah.
I know, it's all make-believe, but in the show, he still kills a woman and her unborn
I didn't
baby.
want my kids to
Yeah, it's
see
alright
it.
if
Yeah.
the kids see that, I guess, right?
I don't know if I should do this. My kids, killing a pregnant woman on film,
That's fine.
and the new baby. I don't know. I mean, they could watch that,
The game.
but the game is way, way too violent. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, the
Yeah.
video game way too violent.
Hey,
That's
she was a hooah.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. Honestly, I really hope that it was just a joke that was taken out of context by whoever wrote this article.
Probably.
After GTA 3 was released, Vice City's production went full steam ahead. Rockstar's experience in working with celebrities didn't seem like it was too bad in GTA 3, so why not continue to bring celebs into the mix? Not only that, but according to Jacked, Sam and Dan Houser both mentioned how cool they thought it was when TV shows would feature celebrity guest stars each week. Sam Houser specifically cited Miami Vice as always guest starring random celebrities like Phil Collins, Glenn Fry, and Frank Zappa. So part of it was inspired by Miami Vice. Plus, according to Rockstar Games co-founder Jamie King, they all really wanted to meet their favorite celebrities, and they now had the means and a good excuse of being able to do so. Little did they know, this would turn out to be an unfortunate experience for many.
Bad fellas.
Citing this amazing book again, when they decided on Ray Liotta as the choice to play the game's protagonist, Tommy Vercetti, it wasn't easy to even get him to be in the game, or at least to get through to him to get him to be in the game. Going by what the book said, Jamie King kept on getting told that Liotta was trying to change his image. After being a wise guy in Goodfellas and doing that crappy movie where he's a psycho on a plane trying to kill the flight attendant and then being fed a chunk of his own brain by Hannibal Lecter, now he wanted to do family movies. But eventually he agreed to be in this video game thing. And the first bad omen came when the Rockstars and Liotta all met each other for the first time for dinner. They were telling him how much they loved his movies, and then for no reason, he went cold in the middle of their conversation and stared them down and said, "Why the f*** are you laughing?" They freaked out, and the situation must have become very uncomfortable. Then Liotta started laughing and said he was just messing with them. He basically pulled a Joe Pesci on them for no reason whatsoever except for seemingly his own personal enjoyment. The voiceover sessions with him weren't much better, and they might have even been worse. To make a long story short, according to Rockstar's employees, Liotta acted like a huge diva and they got sick of him pretty fast. In an IGN interview from around the time of the game's release, Liotta did tell them that doing Vice City was, quote, actually a lot of fun, and there were some great people on this one and I did my homework on it. I know it's a pretty intense game. He then smiled and added with a laugh, "I was trying to go under the radar with it." Under the radar? The writer of this article even
Dude, what is wrong with these actors, man?
I don't want people to know I'm in a game.
Yeah, it's just it's so stupid. It's like you're gonna be on the biggest game known to man, and you're like, is there any way that you cannot let people know I'm in this game? Like,
Even though he's like the protagonist, he's the
Yeah.
main character of the whole story.
let's brainstorm this, guys. How can I do this but not be part of this? How do we do this? It's like, dude, are you kidding me? I don't know what was wrong with these people. I mean,
This was early in like the 2000s or something, so they might have had different attitudes back then.
you
And
know,
flat-
I think a lot of it had to do too with publicists. The publicist's like, oh, dude, be careful when you do this. You know, do it, make the money because I got to get paid too. You know, but be careful because this could taint your image. You know.
yeah.
wrote, who the hell does he think he's kidding with that under the radar quip anyway? How could he possibly keep a low profile about it? It's almost like he was embarrassed to be in a video game. Oh, and by the way, he does mention that the pay, by his standards at least, was not very good. We don't know exactly how much he made from the role, but obviously it was not as much as what he would make doing a movie. We know that the game's budget was $5 million, and obviously some of that budget goes towards paying the actors. I know that Jenna Jameson, according to Jacked, got $5,000 for her role. Now, that might not sound like a lot at all, but you have to remember, Jenna Jameson didn't play the lead role. It was a very minor role, and from the sounds of it, she was only at their studio for a very short amount of time. The only reason she was even in New York to begin with was for an appearance on Howard Stern. All of her lines were probably recorded in a day, so $5,000 for that isn't bad.
Not
But
bad
it's
at all.
probably not even close to what Ray Liotta made. Another point that the book makes about what the actors were paid, and specifically Ray Liotta, comes from the game's voiceover director, Naveed Kansari. When he was beginning to lose his patience with Liotta's attitude during the recording sessions, Kansari makes a reference to how much Liotta was making. Kansari's father is a doctor, and according to him, Liotta made half of what his father makes in presumably a shorter period of time. Let's just say that his father doesn't make anything less than $150,000 a year. That would mean that Liotta made no less than $75,000 for his role as Tommy in a shorter amount of time than a year, most likely. I really can't see Liotta's meeting and recording sessions lasting longer than a couple of months, if that. But then depending on how long Kansari's father's been a doctor for, and depending on what kind of doctor he is, there's a chance that the number could even be higher than that. By the way, in 2008, Sam Houser told Games Radar a little bit more about what it was like dealing with Liotta. He said that in some sessions, Liotta was fired up and really into the role, but then in others, he'd get all emo on them and they couldn't work with him. But he still calls him an amazing actor, but then he also comments on...
I like that. He's still a good actor, you know.
Yeah.
He's a dork, but
He's still a good person. He's an idiot, but yeah, he's he's
But,
horrible
okay.
to work with. But
I would kind of expect, yeah, when you're Hollywood, you're like, dude, I need these millions, man. I need that. And you're like, well, first of all, this was before GTA San Andreas really
Right.
took off. This was Vice City, so they only paid like $5 million for this whole game. Which
the budget was
the
$5 million,
budget was
yeah.
$5 million. So obviously, they didn't have too much money than they already had. They only had like a couple games at that point. So you can't. There should have been a contract that you had to sign that tells you, hey, let me tell you this. This is what's going to happen. We're not that big of a company. We're not your movie company or whatever. So obviously, this is going to be different, which could explain why it got difficult to contact him and say, hey, you want to do this? And you're like, I don't. Okay.
Yeah, I mean back then, you know, the game was after the actors because of the name. Now it's the other way around. I mean, you know, the fame that these games have now, a lot of the new actors are after the game. You know, because who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, why wouldn't you want to be an actor and a voice actor in the new GTA? I mean, come on, you know.
Your voice is still heard and you're still acting.
Yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? It's
I'm not on camera.
It's
I don't
almost
got my
better than a
teeth.
movie. You know, it's almost better than a movie, and the budgets now for these games are insane.
Oh yeah.
You know,
they're bigger.
hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So, yeah, it's
Yeah, I think at the time he was just
Oh, for sure, sure.
whining about it. He's like,
for sure.
why didn't I get paid more?
Yeah, of course, of course.
It's like, oh well, different
On
budget.
Leota's
Because we
remarks
have $10
regarding
to pay you with, and
Hauser
we
said
actually have to
he
split
made some
those $10,
comments
so-
later on through his agent, something
And we have a lot more actors than just you, sir.
Yeah, you see that line behind you? Yeah, we gotta pay all of them, dude. All right, so take your sandwich and your juice and go sit down.
Go to Chipotle.
Yeah,
I heard he likes.
get Chipotle, dude. The cheese sandwich, your juice box, and go sit on that table over there. They'll give you your read and you practice it. All right.
Don't be so emo.
Mhm.
like, hey, this game was so big, I should have charged more money. And
Oh.
I hate that kind of chat. It's so
Yeah.
cheesy. Like
It
he's
is.
saying, next time, I'm really going to pin it to them. Well, how about we just killed off your character? There's no next time.
That's
That's
awesome.
how we handle that.
Of course.
It's really a shame how everything turned out, though. I loved Vice City and the character of Tommy Vercetti. He's practically the reason I even proudly wear Hawaiian shirts. So to learn about what went on behind the scenes and how he acted was disappointing, to say the least. There's videos online of the cast members behind the scenes in the recording studio, and Ray Liotta is noticeably not shown in any of it. Everyone that is shown seems to be having a good time, though. Some of them even reprised their roles in future games. Like with Frank Vincent in
Danny Trejo.
GTA 3, I
Danny
doubt they
Trejo.
would have returned if they didn't get along with the staff. It doesn't seem like anybody had a great time working with Ray, unfortunately. But hey, at least we know he had a great experience playing himself in B-Movie. Another Vice City actor who
That is a good thing that like all those other actors were willing to take the chance. They're like, hey, this is new.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's just like it's something that you have to, especially as an actor or a voice actor, it's something that you really have to look at. You know, you just can't. And that, listen, all that goes back to my mentioning of always be humble, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
you never know where you're gonna land, and you never know what's gonna be put in front of you, and that's an actual fact. You know, it doesn't matter how big you are now or how big you'll be in the future. You never know what's going to be offered, what's going to be, you know, thrown across in front of you. You just never know. And you have to, you know, you have to have that, at least that bit of humbleness to be able to sustain that and figure that out as you're you know, going throughout your career, man.
From what I heard, Danny Trejo definitely had a fun time doing his
Of course.
character.
Of course.
Which, yeah, I mean, it was new, and he was definitely saying, yeah, well, I've done a lot of movies. Why don't I do this?
Of course.
I'm
It's a
pretty
good
sure
ex-
those what
it's a
other
new
actors do.
experience.
Ray Liotta's like, well, should I be in this? I mean, it's not a movie. I don't know if I'm interested.
True.
You're only paying me $10. It's like,
Well, he did get a cheese sandwich too and a juice box. You can't put that out.
oh yeah, we had to pay for that.
Yeah.
Too.
didn't get along well with Rockstar was none other than Burt Reynolds, who played the role of Avery Carrington. You might remember me mentioning this in one of my previous videos that looked into a cut part of Vice City's map, which was referenced in a piece of dialogue for Avery that was also cut from the game. Reynolds and Dan Houser especially did not get along well. Houser, according to numerous articles and Kushner's book, had kindly asked Reynolds at one point if he could do another take and re-record the lines he had just said. A completely innocent thing that I'm sure happens a lot in the world of voice acting. Reynolds, however, seemed to take offense at this and proclaimed that Houser needed to give him an attaboy before he was asked to do anything again. I could just imagine Houser, Kansari, and whoever else from Rockstar was present not knowing what the hell this guy was even talking about, but it got worse. Eventually, a misunderstanding about a new shirt being delivered to Reynolds by his manager after he sweat through the old one had caused him to basically flip out on Dan Houser, telling him, there's gonna be 2 hits here, me hitting you and you hitting the floor. Houser, by this point, completely lost his patience with Reynolds and wanted to cut him from the game entirely, and presumably bring somebody else into play Avery instead. But Kansari intervened and told Houser, we got the performance. He's a total cock, but let's move on. Little wonder
That would be me. Look, dude, we got the recording. Let's just figure this out. Yeah, he's the biggest D in the world, but let's just figure it out. We'll be all right.
At least he intervened.
Well, he had to because he was the director. I mean, he needed to get this footage too.
Yeah,
He
but the
needed to
president was like, I don't want this dude anymore, man. I just want this game to be out and nice.
Yeah,
but this
can you
dude,
imagine if you're pissing the president of the company off? That's not a good thing, man. You know?
the guy who hired you is like, well, you're not gonna get your check. How about that?
Yeah, we're gonna keep some of that, some of your check.
why when Avery Carrington returned in Liberty City Stories, it was a non-speaking role, the character gets killed off, and then even his death is mocked. You get the impression that they really didn't like Burt Reynolds even 3 years after they last had to work with him, and they were obviously not about to ask him to come back. In 2018, Vulture had an article about the making of Red Dead Redemption 2, and while interviewing Dan Houser about the game when they were inside Rockstar's recording studios, Houser brought up Reynolds again. Apparently, Reynolds at one point yelled, "Get the limey out of here," Hauser also told Vulture, "I don't want to speak ill of the dead, poor bugger, but we don't bring in name actors anymore because of their egos, and most important of all, because we believe we get a better sense of immersion using talented actors whose voices you don't recognize." After the Reynolds incident, Hauser also acknowledged that they had an issue working with Chuck D of Public Enemy during his voiceover work for the Playback FM DJ in San Andreas. Hauser didn't get specific about what happened, but whatever did happen, it resulted in Hauser having to ask another director to step in to sort out whatever issues there were between them. Hauser then said, "I think rappers really want to do the work right. We also always had a good experience with pop stars, but we haven't used either significantly for a long time." By pop stars, I couldn't help but wonder if part of him is referring to Phil Collins, who appeared as himself in Vice City Stories. It was such an out there but amazing moment when Phil Collins actually becomes a part of the game. According to interviews given in 2006, he had a great time working on the game. It probably helped that Collins himself is already familiar with video games. He's a huge fan of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, and in his own words, he spent hours...
That's pretty cool. Phil
That is
Collins,
cool.
who nobody knew who was like big into games at the time,
Yeah.
especially classic games, and he's like, "Oh, I'll be a part of a game. That's
Yeah,
cool.
why not?
I want to be a character in the game." But Rockstar's point of using not well-known actors, like I've read that like some of the actors that get a part of, especially in GTA 5, like they got roles later on after that they wouldn't have gotten those roles if it wasn't for GTA 5. It's
Of course.
like some of those directors are in their 20s and they're gamers and all this stuff. It's like, wait, hey, that guy, can I get that guy on the set of my show or movie that I'm working on? I think he would be good.
It's definitely a big stepping stone towards, something bigger or something, on TV or the big screen.
Like you think
know?
this small actor is like, oh, it's just a small actor, it doesn't matter, and then he gets
Right.
in this big game and it just becomes a big deal. It's
course.
almost like it's like, whoa, okay,
Of
I
course.
see.
It's
Like,
just like anything else, man. An unknown actor does a big role, like new Spider-Man or whatever it may be. Next thing you know, he went from making $500,000 for that Spider-Man role to now he wants $20 million for this new film. It's like that's just every day.
yeah, and using good talented actors that are just like, you don't hear them and you're like, I don't know this guy, but let's see what he can do.
Right.
And all this stuff, and then
Yeah,
you're just
of
like,
course.
okay, he's popular now. And
Yeah.
He just got all this stuff and he made his stuff.
Yep.
I agree. That's very good.
playing both every day non-stop. I wonder if he's played the Reignited trilogy yet. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course he probably has. By GTA 4, Rockstar did pretty much stop using Hollywood talent to play major roles in the story. Famous people were still in the game, but in smaller roles. Iggy Pop, Julia Lewis, Karl Lagerfeld, among others, played radio DJs, and Ricky Gervais appeared at the Comedy Club. The game's protagonist, Nico Bellic, was
Yeah.
played by Michael Hollick, and obviously we know that afterwards there was some controversy regarding his pay and status with Rockstar. It all originated from a New York Times article published almost a month after the game was released. According to the article, Hollick was paid $100,000 for 15 months of work between late 2006 and early 2008. This work included both voice acting and motion capture. Now, $100,000 is by far no small amount, especially for an aspiring actor like Hollick, who had been working various retail jobs at places like bagel shops and department stores in between small acting gigs prior to playing Nico. But by the time this article was written and published in May of 2008, the game had already made $600 million. It's a huge amount of money compared to $100,000, and Hollick, nor any of the other actors in the game, saw any of it because of contracts between the Actors Union and the entertainment industry that at the time made little to no provisions for electronic media such as video games or anything on the internet. So you might be wondering, well, gee, who's at fault here? The Actors Union for their crappy contracts to begin with and not understanding the video game industry? Or maybe Rockstar for not trying harder to make sure everyone can continue to benefit off the work they put in and enjoy the fruits of their labor a little more. Here's what Hollick had to say. Obviously, I'm incredibly thankful to Rockstar for the opportunity to be in the game when I was just a nobody, an unknown quantity. But it's tough when you see Grand Theft Auto 4 out there as the biggest thing going right now, when they're making hundreds of millions of dollars and we don't see any of it. I don't blame Rockstar. I blame our union for not having the agreements in place to protect the creative people who drive the sales of these games. Yes, the technology is important, but it's the human performances within them that people really connect to, and I hope actors will get more respect for the work they do within those technologies. The article goes on to say that Rockstar declined to comment, but that this is something that has been an issue for a while in the video game industry.
Yeah, that is true. Like, especially when you bring actors like that and they just don't. Back in the day, it was just like, oh well, they're not really like the actors unions and stuff. They're like, oh, those aren't really movies. Like, give them better stuff when they're in movies or shows. Like that's not the case. They're still doing the work and stuff like that. And
Well, I just think it's again, it comes down to everybody being surprised of how well the gaming industry ramped up
Mhm.
from years back.
Yeah.
You know, it went from having a $5 million budget like the first GTA to now the budget's almost $1 billion that they put into these games, man.
yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's just like anything else. I mean, it's like with movies and TV shows and whatever. It's like, you know, and the actors. I mean, they could say,
$100,000 isn't bad.
like, listen, they can say whatever they want to say. They know the game. They know the game, and it's just like any other thing. It's just like any other job, man. You get hired for something. Yeah, if you're coming in new, you're gonna start at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna start at the bottom. The grocery store, the guys when they're hired, the guys and girls, they start bagging. They're baggers, and then they move up to cashiers, possibly into produce or into meats and whatever. It's just like that. It's like you can't expect to come in and if you, especially if you agree to a certain price. Now, yeah, maybe it is the union's fault that they didn't agree to back end to get anything off the back end. They said, oh, okay, give my client $100,000 for his performance. Okay, great. Like this guy said, it's a big amount of money, but then later the game makes $1 billion, and you're just like, wow, well that's nice. I don't have any more left of my 100,000, but and that's just the way it is. I mean, you can't blame anybody else but the negotiation to that. I mean,
Well, that's why he says he doesn't blame Rockstar for
no,
it.
of course not. Of course not. Rockstar is like, you'll take 100,000 for this? Okay, cool.
15 months of work.
Yeah, cool, done. I mean,
Hey, 15 months and you get $100,000. That's definitely something. I mean, yeah, it's no big to what GTA 4 made when it released, but you still got the good amount for it.
Of course.
I could see Ray Liotta drinking his juice box. He's like, I didn't get any of that.
yeah, I got nothing. I got a cheese sandwich and a juice box, dude. That's it. No, but it's just listen. I don't think Rockstar was being malicious. Obviously, I think they just said
They had
hey.
to follow the union's contracts, I think.
Well, they put the offer out there. The union and the actor is the one that they agree. So
They're like, well, games, they're not big, so just don't give them so much.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
but now it's very different.
Yeah, that's
You know?
bogus.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Hollick also told the New York Times that he had asked about the possibility of getting residuals when they were negotiating the contract, but that he was told
Yeah.
that this wouldn't be a possibility. Now, I'm not an expert on actors' unions, but it seems like that's what Hollick is blaming. Not Rockstar Games, but his own union. If he felt that Rockstar had ripped him off or underpaid him, he wouldn't have said that he's not mad at them, would he? I know some of you might ask, well, if it's impossible for Rockstar to pay him royalties, couldn't they just give him more than $100,000? And my answer to that would be, I don't know. Maybe they could have, maybe they wouldn't. If anyone watching this does have any familiarity with how actors' unions and negotiations work, do let us know what could have possibly been done differently, if anything could have been done differently. I'm starting to feel that royalties are really where the biggest problems lie in all of this, since Hollick never complained about being underpaid for the initial work that was done. Before we move on, there's one more point I wanted to make about Michael Hollick. In 2010, Laszlo had a Q&A session in which he was asked about Hollick. He even acknowledged that Hollick was not upset about the pay.
The main actor did an interview with the New York Times and did a phenomenal interview. And then towards the end, they asked him, how much are you getting paid and all these kind of questions. And he sort of got sandbagged. And then the article came out, oh, he's not happy with his pay, which was not the case at all. Mike's an awesome guy, and we're still working with him.
I find the fact that he said that they were still working with Hollick by that time to be interesting. Hollick only appears in the credits for GTA 4, and the only video game work he's done after that he was credited for was some motion capture work for Homefront, and then a voice role in Dying Light. And I somehow doubt that still working with them meant that they were recycling one of his pain noises from GTA 4 for Max Payne 3. If Laszlo's claim is true, then whatever they wanted to work with him on clearly never materialized.
There's a fun fact I wanted to talk about with Laszlo. So Laszlo used to work at Rockstar Games for a long time,
Right.
since GTA 3, and he was actually in the GTA 3, pretty much all the GTA games. He was a voice on the radio. He's like
Oh,
the
cool.
podcaster type guy.
Yeah.
And then GTA 5, they made him an actual character in the game to visit.
Huh.
So he's always been
Interesting.
a part of the GTA games for like
Yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
time. And then he's like, "Hey, you want to be an actual character in GTA 5?" And he's like, "Okay." What cut my development time? I don't gotta talk on the radio no more.
Oh wow, interesting.
So it's crazy. You just hear his voice all the time in every GTA game.
Right.
And then in GTA 5, you're like, oh, I actually see him this time. Like, what does he look like and all that stuff?
I don't know. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool for him
Yeah.
to do.
Very cool.
Laszlo also said that he doesn't feel sorry for many actors who come in wanting to be treated like royalty, because the real stars, according to him, are the people working behind the scenes, and that people aren't playing a video game just for an actor.
Yep.
Laszlo then goes on to say that Hollywood simply can't get around the fact that video games are different. His response is really interesting. In fact, the entire Q&A is, and I put a link to the full video in the description. Now let's move on to one final person who voiced a very prominent role in GTA San Andreas, Young Melee. I'm sure by now many of us have seen the comments he posted on his Instagram page about his feelings for Rockstar. He doesn't really go into detail about exactly what the hell the problem is 15 years after San Andreas, but he does keep on ranting and arguing with people and being oddly aggressive. Now, in one of the comments, he accuses Rockstar of being culture vultures from London who make billions of dollars, and that nobody they work with, himself included, has seen 10% of that. Does Melee's issue have to do with royalties as well? If so, you might be asking now, is there a reason why he came out about this now and not 15 years ago? I mean, Ray Liotta and Michael Hollick both made their frustrations clear within a month of each game's release. But that's not to say that Young Melee didn't have issues with them for a while either. In a post he made in August of 2019, he still refers to them as culture vultures. He may have still had his own issues with them for a long time, but he just chose to not be public about it until recently. Young Melee isn't being any more specific on what exactly his problem is with them, other than he really wants people to know how much he hates them. Could something have happened recently that set him off? My own suggestion would be that maybe Young Melee just finally got pissed off after all these years of people calling him CJ or asking him about CJ or making CJ related comments almost every day. Seriously, just look at any video of his on YouTube or anything he posts on social media. 90% of the comments left for him are about CJ or some kind of reference to San Andreas. Everywhere you look, CJ, 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 CJ. Oh, here's an innocent comment. Oh, never mind. It's like for every 100 comments, there's maybe 3 that actually care about his music. And it's just as bad on Instagram. He made a post on the birthday of someone he knew, hip-hop producer and DJ Crazy Tunes, who passed away a few years ago, and the first comments you see are San Andreas memes. He posted a picture of a dog, and Big Smoke somehow gets pulled into the conversation too. Melee's cousin, Sean Fantino, did a recent Instagram broadcast where he explained that at a lot of conventions he attends, he gets lobbed all these questions by people asking him about GTA 6 and how he basically just gives them what they want to hear, even
This is the crazy thing. They always ask the actors if they're involved with GTA 6 or if they have any knowledge of that. It confuses me on why you ask the actors and don't ask well, you can't ask the developers because they're not going to tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, again, we go back to this is always going to happen. You see the actor from Thor, dude, what's next?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, what's next, dude? I mean, do you have a different hammer next time, and the next
I don't know.
movie? Yeah, I mean, they're not going to say anything. But
mainly secret or mainly an
What's-
actual, I don't know.
well, it's
knowledge.
not. It's not really that. It's the real game fanatic lovers when they go and they see a character or someone that does the character in the game, they feel a connection. So they feel that comfort level to go out and be like, dude, you're so awesome. So tell me, what's next? Like, can you say anything about GTA 6? Is there a GTA 6? Don't lie. Come on, dude. Like, they feel that comfort level because they see that person there.
Mhm.
Obviously, and it's just like anything. Like I said, for the movies, the same thing. You see an actor somewhere and you ask him questions or her questions, and but I mean, you got to understand that once you're out in the public light, man, and you're a public figure, that's going to be coming down the pipe.
CJ and San Andreas.
Yeah, you can't expect to do a big movie and be like, oh, I could do anything now and not be seen or noticed. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I just think that they got a really early taste of that, and it was overwhelming for them,
Yeah, I could see that, like, definitely. And 15 years from San Andreas when he played CJ, and I could see where people are just saying CJ stuff because that's
well, yeah, I mean,
mainly
that's totally normal. I mean, there was an interview with Chris Tucker back in the day where he said that, everywhere he goes, he's Smokey from Friday,
Yeah.
and that's, hey, Smokey, and he's like, I don't even get mad anymore because, people relate to your character,
Mhm.
and that's the first thing they see. They see him at the grocery store. They're like, oh my God, that's Smokey from Friday, and that's just the way it is.
There is
What?
one thing that wasn't in this video, because this was before that Sean and Young Melee did a stream on Instagram
Right.
together. So this video was posted on January of last year, and
Okay.
so I think a couple months later they had an Instagram broadcast, and apparently Young Melee said, this is from his words, that someone DM'd him, direct messaged him,
Mhm.
and acted as a person from Rockstar saying some really private things to him. Now, bad things, I might add. And he thought like it was personal, it was just getting out of hand. He's just like, you know what? If that's how Rockstar's gonna treat me, I'm just gonna say that stuff. Now, there's a lot of accounts on social media that are just fake,
Mhm.
that like to act, oh, my uncle, he works at Rockstar, he knows
Right.
what's going on. So it was that kind of behavior in his direct messages that got him to be like this. So that's what this video doesn't really recognize, is that yeah, he was getting direct message by some guy who supposedly works at Rockstar, supposedly knows a lot about stuff, and he's just messaging him and saying, hey, you know what, I know where you live, I know all this stuff, getting personal, all that stuff. That's probably
Yeah.
why that's why he said, he's like, that's why I was mad, because, and also all that stuff I said to people that were fans of my work, I didn't mean to say that. I was just in a mood that was just like,
Yeah, I mean that just comes with the nature of what you do. I mean, I don't know.
you get mad, man.
Yeah,
Just like
but
that.
you gotta understand.
No, on your nose.
Huh?
Got a booger.
Really?
There you go. You got it.
Where is
No,
it?
he
It's
himself.
gone
It wasn't a booger.
now. It was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it green?
Yeah.
Liar.
has no knowledge of anything that Rockstar's doing.
Great.
And when they ask me about GTA 6 and they say, are you coming back in it or are you gonna be in it? If you guys really listen. If y'all motherfuckers really listen to the interviews and it'd be a jokingly, I would love to be in GTA 6. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? And what y'all think about, CJ might come back, and blah 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 this and blah blah that. We're gonna come back and take over Grove Street. Them be just me just speaking out, having fun with the crowd, interacting, giving them what they want to hear, but also giving them, the whatever the it is. But I'll just be having fun, man.
Fontino's just playing with the audience, who takes it literally, and then every other blogger and YouTuber just picks it up, runs with it, and makes breaking news, CJ returning for GTA 6 videos. Which probably led to even more people flooding Melee's inbox, bugging him about something that's completely irrelevant to him.
I got up this morning just to speak on this because I want y'all to stop it, man. Leave Melee the fuck alone, man. Leave him alone, man. Let him live, man. He alright. He venting on some shit that he had in him for a long time ago. It ain't for me to speak on what it is. Maybe he'll get on his live and speak on it. And maybe he won't. I hope he don't, because like I said, he might, he's still a little more active than I am. So he might say some shit he might regret again. But leave the man alone, man. Y'all filling his DM up with all this sick shit. And then y'all putting shit on YouTube where when I did some shit in Brazil, and I said, yeah, CJ might be coming back to the 6, man. Man, listen to the words that I say before y'all start taking them and chopping them up. It say might, and yeah, I would love, and yeah, I have no knowledge of DLC. I have no knowledge of online content. I have no knowledge on what the Rockstar is doing in their office, their time, in their building, their writers, their programmers. I have zero knowledge. They don't tell me
And there you have it. The many different voice actors who
Okay,
worked
that's
with
just
Rockstar.
that's just so dumb. I mean, it's even I could tell you that it's just so dumb. I mean, to me, that's just an attention getter. Any normal person that has social media,
Yeah.
especially an actor, a voice actor, a regular actor, is going to know that people are going to ask questions and they're going to troll people and they're going to, say this and that, the other, or ask this stupid question or ask that stupid question. it's up to the person to be like, whatever. That's nothing. I'm not. Why would you get online and go, come on, man, leave him alone? It's like, dude, why are you even doing that? You're causing more attention to what you think is nothing by doing that. Leave it alone. I mean, there's always, I hear of actors and actresses and podcast hosts saying, I don't even read the comments. I don't even read it because I don't have to. It's easier on my life not to read the comments because it's true. If you read comments and you go on there and you go online and say, come on this and come on that and leave it alone and I don't know, stop asking me. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing by doing that? It's like, you're the dummy for going on there and going
Looking
live
at
and
it.
saying, leave me alone and don't ask me questions. Dude, you're a public figure. What are you talking about? What don't you know about this? Like, once you go public, it's over, man. It's over. You're going to have millions of people, if you're lucky, asking you questions and filling up your message box and all that. That's every day. I mean, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I don't know what he's trying to do. Now, is this publicity? Probably. I mean, that's what I would take it as because you can't be that behind on times and not know that this is how you cause issues,
Yeah,
So-
but it's like it's weird because I just think about it as obviously asking the actors all this what's next questions, but
yeah,
what
but
he was
that's
saying,
normal.
yeah,
That's normal. It's like I told you, you see an actor on the street, of course you're gonna ask questions, especially if you're mesmerized and you like that person's movie or video or whatever. You're like, holy moly, he's right there, dude. Let's ask him if they're doing part 2. Let's ask him, dude. I mean, that's normal. I mean, what do these actors think that they're gonna do something and it's gonna become a big hit and you're not supposed to ask anything or do anything if you see them? Come on, that's stupid. Even I know that. I mean, come on. That's just
Yeah,
dumb to
but
ask.
some of the things he was mentioning is that some people take it out of context because like when he was doing a Comic-Con in Brazil or something like that, when he was doing a convention
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking, if there was a possibility, there might be a possibility that Rockstar could do it, but we don't know. Like that's what he said.
Okay,
And
then why
then-
even say that though? That's what I'm
And
saying.
then the people on the video, they were like, CJ confirmed he's coming back and all that
Well,
stuff.
of
It's like-
course, people are gonna do that. Of course, people are gonna do that because that's what they do online, especially online. Oh, CJ just came on right now in Brazil, dude. You guys tune in. He said that there's a part 6 coming out next week. It's like people are always gonna add their 2 cents in, man. And you gotta know that, But anyways,
Yeah, I guess because he's like, maybe it's not going to be popular for the next few years. It's like, no, it's GTA. It's like GTA is GTA, and GTA 5 is still popular.
yeah.
Of course, new fans every year are going to be like, oh, is there
Yeah,
going to be another
it's just
part to
dumb.
this?
yeah,
gonna be
dude,
like
for
that.
Sure.
It's going to go
Star
on
and the
forever.
opinions that they and those within Rockstar are known to have of each other. For some, it's fairly obvious what the issues are. In the case of Burt Reynolds and Ray Liotta, I think they were just too Hollywood for it, and they probably saw doing video game voice work as being beneath them. They simply weren't fun to work with. And for Michael Hollick, I think his issues mostly had to do with royalties and the actors' unions, not with Rockstar or what they paid him initially. Of course, immediately afterwards, everybody gets the impression that he just hates Rockstar and that they must have paid him next to nothing for his role, and this is the narrative
That's the
that seems
misperception is that they always say about that actor. They're always like, oh, he hated Rockstar because they underpaid him. It's like, but you don't know like you
The
got to do
back
your
end of it,
research
yeah.
and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
no, he doesn't hate them at all. He was happy to work with them.
Yeah.
It's like he can't control what the
Yeah.
unions and all this contract stuff is going on with the
For sure.
companies and stuff.
For sure.
He's just giving it. It's like, okay, did my 15
Yep.
months. I wish I could have gotten more, but you know what? Unions work. I
Hey.
can't blame them. So
You can't win all of them, man.
they always say that. They always say, "Oh, he hates them because he was underpaid." It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not the case. He would have been happy to come back in his Rockstar title
Very true.
if he wanted to, and if he was free.
Right.
But with Ray Liotta and Ryan, not Ryan Reynolds, Burt Reynolds,
Burt Reynolds.
I
yeah.
think that was a different story.
Yeah, it was because they were just, they were very big Hollywood actors, and I think they thought they were going to walk into this a different way. Like they were going to, be given the golden chair and, and just. treat
Where's
like,
the camera?
treated
And
like
he's like,
royalty,
no, this
but-
is the.
But it's like, dude, this is a different industry, man. This is a different animal. You have to understand that. So
Yeah, Burt Reynolds comes in. He's like, "All right, where's the camera?" It's
Yeah.
like, no, microphone.
the microphone, yeah, and there's a cheese sandwich right next to you. That's all you get. Juice box. Don't finish the juice. That's all you get, dude. All right.
We got 5
Ready?
million.
Go.
We got 5 million, but you know,
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of it
Yeah.
goes to the game,
yeah.
and then some of it goes
Ready?
to the acting.
And we're rolling. That's it. That's all you get.
Come on, man. Do I get more money for this?
Negative. Negative.
Stick for a long time. And with young Melee, it probably had to do with both the lack of royalties and maybe the fact that he's getting bugged by people nonstop about stuff he doesn't know or care about. But we're just going by what we can see, we don't really know. However, it does seem like there is an issue with royalty payments for video game voice actors, or the lack of royalty payments for video game voice actors. Like I said, this is a really difficult issue, and it's one that still isn't over. In 2016, video game voice actors went on strike against almost a dozen video game developers and publishers, including Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive. The strike was over a failure in contract renegotiations and that the voice actors and motion capture actors should be paid residuals after a game is released. The strike went on for almost a year, and it became the longest strike in the Screen Actors Guild's history. There's also clearly two separate points of view at work here. One point of view is that the people who do the programming, modeling, and other development work are the true stars of the game, the ones who deserve the most recognition for their hard work, which can often involve
There's a lot of things that the actors ignore sometimes about. Like they always say, it's like, "Oh, I was underpaid. I didn't get this."
Yeah,
didn't
I
get
mean the everyday actor, especially the well-known ones, are going to come in just like Bert and Leota came in, and just think that they're going to give this game, this new game, just like, you know, the biggest
Oscar
name
performance.
in Hollywood, and that's not the case. I mean, cool, you're on it. All right, Burt Reynolds is on it. Awesome, you know, that's awesome. But dude, these guys and girls that are behind the computer creating this
Every
game,
day and
yeah,
every week.
that, I mean, you owe a lot to them too, you know. So it's not just the voice actors.
Because it's not easy. I bet you like doing this developing stuff is way harder than just
Dude,
acting a game.
Thousands of hours of, you know, building and putting together and technology driven stuff that you got to do every single day. That's a lot. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, it's like
So-
it's like when you act and stuff. It's like, okay, I'm here doing my scenes, and then I go back, and then you just don't see the work
Yeah.
that they gotta do.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
gotta
for sure.
cut it. They gotta edit it. They gotta do.
Editing is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
of long, stressful hours and weekends spent at work. The other point of view is that the actors who portray the characters in the game bring these characters to life, and that they're just as deserving of recognition for the artistic side of the game as the programmers are for the technical side. What do you guys think about all of this? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I
Wow.
could definitely say, well, very good informal video, good research.
Yeah.
But what I can say about it is you can look at it 2 points away. You know, there's 2 points you can say. You say, okay, yes, the actors brought them to life and we should recognize them. Or there's the other side. It's like, well, the actors do it, but the developers do the 90%, I would say, of the
Yeah.
work, you know? So, you know, you can look at it in 2 points of view.
I mean, listen, it's just like anything else. It's like the Fast and Furious franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie where these actors were going, some of these actors, some of the lesser known actors were getting $100,000 maybe for the whole movie, maybe $150,000 for the whole movie.
So I don't think it was a big
When
movie. at
later
the
the
time.
same actors on movie number 5 or 6 were making $10 million. That's just how it goes, you know. I mean, and I don't know, man. It's just, you know, it's the same deal with anything. I just think that the gaming industry in the beginning was very underestimated,
Yeah.
you know. So these actors came in going, "Oh, Leota, yeah, I'm gonna put this name on this game and it's gonna become famous." It's like, no, dude, you just give us more of a headache. You know, we're trying to create this game, and yeah, we'd love to have you on it for the name and for the voice, but you know, you're not
In it,
inventing something new, you know.
give me my juice box again.
Yeah, dude. So it's just
And then Burt
But-
Reynolds was even funnier, man.
Yeah.
He was
but
like,
that was very interesting, though. Very, very interesting. A lot we learned there.
I can't
on how
believe Burt Reynolds was talking down on a guy who runs the whole Rockstar
Well,
company.
that's these guys' mentality, man. They come in, like I said, they come in with such a big name, and they think that they're gonna, you know, they're gonna turn this game into gold, which is not the case. I mean, yeah, you put a cool voice on it and the name to back it, but you're not it. You know, it's not it.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
But Rockstar, despite all the pain you had
yeah.
to go through those years,
Yeah.
I'm glad you got the games out.
Listen, they have the formula down, man. They got the formula down to a T. They know what they're doing.
There's gonna be headaches and things,
just like anything else, of course. But I think the actors came around to learn that this is not something to mess around with.
Yeah.
You know, and they got to take it seriously. And
because well, here's the thing: acting is acting. Like regardless if you do it on a voice, a screen,
True.
or anything,
So
you're acting. There's nothing different. Yes, the stage and the things are different. Yes, of course.
But take
you're
it
not gonna be on
serious.
camera. Well, you're kind of on camera because if you're doing motion capture work, yeah, look, you're doing all the movements for the character. You're acting. It's not your face. Sure, it could be a different model.
Yeah.
But it still work.
For sure.
Imagine it being on a movie. I remember the GTA 5 actors. They were so happy with what happened because they worked for 3 years on it. They get recognized a lot for it, and they were happy about it.
Yep.
I remember the guy who played Trevor, and he was just so happy. He was like, I don't do it for the money. I wanted to do it because it was work. I wanted to do it because I wanted to act.
Yep.
At the time, he did some movies and stuff. He wasn't
Yeah,
well known,
yeah.
and then he does GTA 5. He gets all these roles
Yeah.
and movies and shows.
Yeah, he did
and all
really
this.
well, man.
And he was just like, I think GTA 5 gave me an opportunity to do. So
Big time.
at least it's one of those actors that are not like, I need to see the pay first before I even start this thing, man.
Yep.
So good mentality, and I hope he continues to do that. He was in Red Dead Redemption 2 as like a crazy bum character. So I can tell you that Rockstar's having a good relationship.
Yeah.
with
No, they built something awesome. Really cool video. Thanks for showing, dude.
Yeah, but guys, thank you guys.
Thank you
for
guys so much.
watching.
To end it here at the chat. At the chat. We have Shadow the Hedgehog. What is up? The Adorable Cream the Rabbit. What is up? He says, "Hey Silver, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that.
Watching the stream on your TV.
Yes. Fantasy the Hedgehog. What is up? The dad saying, what's up? Thank you guys so much for everybody, the love and support you guys show. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for another wonderful podcast this Monday. And I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day. Cam Bam the man. Love you, dude. Thank you so much. Everybody, remember, have a beautiful Monday. All right? Whatever you guys do, be safe and always, always be humble, guys.
Be safe, guys. Be humble. And we wish for a better 2021 this year for sure. And you're expecting a lot more.
Yeah.
Out of us. All right. And
Oh, you took it.
All
See
right,
you guys.
See you guys. Have a wonderful day.